Alright, so today we're going to be talking about a new way of inputting input basically from the user, okay? So today what we're going to be doing is getting input via the mouse. Alright, we talked about getting input via scanner and typing in input. Today we're going to be getting it from the mouse. And to do that, so I was just showing you that we have stuff on the website there for instructions on this. But to do that, we're going to create a new class, and this class is going to be called Move on Click World, and that is going to be a class that has MyWorld as its superclass and has a main method. So Move on Click World, superclass MyWorld, has a main method, okay, and that should be the only things that are clicked there, and inherited abstract methods, that happens automatically for you. Alright, so when we finish that, creates this class for us, and I'm just going to get rid of that over there, and then get rid of some of these extra comments just because they kind of get in our way. So that happened for me automatically. If you scroll up, you might see that you have import up there as well. Okay. Alright, so the first thing that we want to do here is inside of the main method, we want to tell this class that when it runs, we want to make a new object out of it. Okay, so we're going to go new move on click, that's how you spell click, world, parentheses, and a semicolon, and all that does is make it so that when I run this thing, alright, it comes up with this kind of default MyWorld program. Alright, and instead of it being just a default program, what I want to do is draw something in there. Okay, so the thing that we're going to draw here is, for me, it's going to be a red circle. Okay, so we're going to go g.setColor red, and then g.fill oval. And we're just going to pick some coordinates here. I'm going to go 100, 100, 100 for the width, and 100 for the height. So just to review, this 100, 100 is the x and y coordinate that we're starting this thing from. So if I start at 0, 0, which is this top left-hand corner, and I slide to the right 100 pixels, that's x equals 100. If I start at 0, 0 and I slide down 100 pixels, that's y equals 100. And the intersection of those two is about right there. Okay, so that's the top left of that circle. And then we want the width to be 100, so this is taking up 100 pixels this way, and height is 100, 100 pixels that way. That's those two numbers. Okay, so just a really quick review of that. Okay. It would be nice if we could start getting things to kind of move around inside of this world. And in order to do that, we have to say that these things are going to be in kind of variable positions. All right? So we're going to say, instead of having this thing always filled at 100, let's have it filled at x. And instead of always filling at y equals 100, let's have it fill at y. All right? So these are, the idea here is that these are variables that we can use, okay, and we can change to change the position of that oval. All right, so they're underlined right now because we haven't declared those variables. So at the top of the class where we create instance variables, okay, or fields, we're going to declare two ints. So I'm going to do that this way, int, and I'm going to say x equals 100. Alright, and then I'm going to show you a different way of declaring multiple variables of the same type. We're just going to use a comma, y also equals 100. Okay, so this is like saying we have int variables x and y that are both equal to 100. Alright. So we can use a comma to declare multiple variables of the same type. Alright? And down here what we're doing is saying we're going to fill this oval at a variable position. All right? X and Y. Okay, so we're not making the color variable, we're not making the width and height variable, we're just making the position variable. And so the next thing we want to do is figure out how can we change X and Y. So it turns out that kind of through the magic of MyWorld, there's some things that we can do to kind of make decisions about what's happening with the mouse. Okay, so this would be more complex if it weren't for MyWorld. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're not inside of Draw, not inside of Main, but that we are inside of Move on Click World. So I'm just going to go right in between Draw and Main, and we're going to add a new method in here that's going to allow us to figure out something that's going on with the mouse. Okay, so that's going to be public void mouse clicked. Okay, all of the methods that are similar to mouse clicked, and we'll look at them in a second, require a parameter of type MouseEvent. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to call that thing mouse. All right. So MouseEvent is underlined, and so any of you think you know why that thing might be underlined? Just kind of giving away the secret there. Yeah. Okay, good. So it's another one of those classes like graphics is that in order to use it, we have to import it. So we just go ahead and mouse over that thing, and it says there's two actually different mouse events that we could get. We could get the mouse event from java.awt.event, or we could get the mouse event from orgw3c.dom events. I don't know what that is. Okay, I do know that this is the one that we want. So we want the top one. AWT stands for Abstract Window Toolkit. You guys don't really need to know that, but just click on that guy, and we get this thing added to our class. Okay, so a mouse event is something like the mouse being clicked, or the mouse being moved, or the mouse being dragged. Okay, there's all these different mouse events that we can handle. And what we're doing here is we're saying when the mouse is clicked, perform the instructions that are inside of here. Okay, so it's basically the what's going on with this method. Okay, and so what we want to do when the mouse is clicked is we want to change X. So we're going to say that X is going to be reassigned, and then we have to tell it where the value of X is going to be reassigned to. Okay, so in this case we're going to say, well, we want the oval to go wherever the mouse is clicked, so we're going to use the mouse and get its X coordinate, and now that is a value. Okay, so mouse.getX is the value of the mouse's X position, and that's what we're going to use to assign X. And then we're going to do the same thing for Y. We're going to go mouse.getY. All right, and so what we've done is we've basically repositioned where this G.fill oval is going to happen. Okay, and that's happening when the mouse is clicked. The frustrating thing here, okay, is that you won't see changes unless you do this last line of code. So this last line of code that we need to put in here is repaint. Okay. So that basically tells the program to clear the graphics and draw again. Alright, that's what that does. And I think that this makes sense to you guys, but should we put in a comment here? let's go change X and Y to where the mouse got clicked. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense to you. Alright, so let's see what we've done so far. We're going to save this guy and run it. Okay. So now, whenever I click in here, like that, it's saying, oh, the mouse was clicked, so this automatically happens. Again, it's kind of magic to you guys, but it's because of stuff that I did in MyWorld that's working. It's repositioning X and Y, giving it new values from the mouse, and then repainting. So repainting clears all the graphics out and tells it to draw again. Set the color to red again, and then fill an oval at the X and Y position that were just set by the mouse. Okay? So I can click anywhere I want in here. Does this seem like this is making sense for everybody? Okay, there are other mouse event methods that we can use, and there's 7 of them all together. Okay, so those are on the website as well. Okay, the one that we used today was mouse clicked. There's also mouse entered. So if my mouse is outside of the frame that we're in, or outside of the world like we've been calling it, and then I bring the mouse in, it's entered. Okay, mouse exited, that's the opposite. Mouse pressed is the first half of a click. So if I press the mouse down but I don't release it, that's pressed. Mouse released is the second half of a click. Okay. Mouse dragged is when I press the mouse down and then move it. Okay. So that's like, you know, if you had to drag a file into a folder, you press it and drag it. Okay. And then mouse moved, just moving the mouse. All of those are going to have this this kind of style, okay? Public void mouse whatever, inside of the parentheses MouseEvent mouse, and then you put the instructions that you want to have happen when that event occurs inside of there. They all need to have the import statement, but once you declare that you are importing MouseEvent once, you don't have to do it again to include multiple events, okay? So let's go back here and let's just show you guys that you can do multiple events inside of the same class. So we're going to talk about what happens now when the mouse when the mouse enters. Okay. So if I want that to happen, I want to say public void mouse entered. And again, I got to go MouseEvent mouse. Okay. So the program realizes that this is already imported. It doesn't have to be imported twice. Okay, and so let's say that I want the oval in there to go to like the top left-hand corner. So now what I'm going to do is say, well, that's where x equals 0 and y equals 0. And then if I want to see the changes that are made, I have to include this repaint call. Okay, so now, okay, so my mouse hasn't yet entered the frame. All right, so I just want to show you guys what's going to happen. Look up here if you're not paying attention here. So when it enters, then this thing moves. I can still click it. I can still click to move it. Nothing happens when the mouse exits because I didn't put that in here as an event that I care about. But when it goes back in, it goes back to x equals 0, y equals 0. Okay, so it doesn't have to be x equals mouse.getX. It can be x equals whatever. Okay, you'll see that we'll make different things variables and we'll get this thing kind of more exciting. What you guys are going to do is write a program called Move the Square World that draws a square in the center of the frame. So now we're doing a square instead of a circle. The square should follow the mouse anytime the mouse is moved. Okay, so you should be thinking to yourself, which one of those methods sounds like the mouse is moving? And then the square should return to the middle of the frame anytime the mouse leaves the frame. All right, so which one of these is synonymous with the mouse leaving the frame? And you'll have to program that event as well. All right, so that's what you're going to do today. Yep.